Getting to the heart of the matter. Back to Guy, Ben, and Frank with more Inside the News.
Well, welcome back to our third segment of Inside the News. This is our Picking Up the Pieces segment. A lot going on here. Let's start with you, Frank. China and India, there's a unique relationship that goes back about 50 years. Explain.
Well, China and India, of course, border each other, although the border is a rather rough piece of terrain. They have fought each other in the past over border issues. China sees India in many ways as a real threat because it is another Asian power that's nuclear armed, that has a vast population and a vast economy. In fact, interestingly enough, there's been a bit of a dispute among statisticians about who actually is the most populous country. There are some now that believe that India actually has a greater population than China does. But the economic and military competition between the two nations occasionally flares up, as it has right now. In the Tri-Junction region of Asia, it's where China, India, and a small country of about 750,000 people called Bhutan come together. The Chinese decided to build a road through Bhutan territory, and the Bhutan, which is an ally of India, called on India to assist them. India did rush to their assistance and blocked the Chinese road. Now the two giant nations of Asia, India and China, are at loggerheads, their militaries facing each other. Both of them have advanced militaries. Both of them have extraordinary, powerful armed forces. Where this is going to go, you have to wonder. The fact of the matter is, China has as a certain chip on its shoulder. It lost a battle to Vietnam about 50 years ago. It fought a battle with India that really didn't amount to too much, although most observers say the Chinese won. But now the stakes are a lot higher. The stakes really are for dominance in Asia. As India continues to grow more powerful, China sees a nightmare occurring, that what they saw as almost their manifest destiny to becoming the leading nation in Asia is absolutely being challenged by the power of the Indian economy and the Indian military. The incident itself seems kind of small, just a road in a rather isolated area, but it has a lot of strategic importance. It could pose a lot of threats to the north of India, what's called the Chicken Neck area, and India sees it as a crucial interest. China sees it as a threat to their future manifest destiny as they see it, and the possibility of this exploding into something a lot more than it is right now is certainly there, and it has implications for a wider war as well. Perhaps Pakistan would come in on China's side, the United States and Japan would come in on India's side. This has a lot of similarity to the start of World War I, and the dangers are just as real.
You know something, Ben? I'm glad that Frank brought up Pakistan, because Pakistan, they have some nukes, and India never quite lit those up like Pakistan did back in the Bill Clinton era, and so I think India still wants something to prove.
Well, India and Pakistan are nuclear armed, and they face each other, and they're enemies that have fought over the Kashmir region on their border. Many times that's an ongoing conflict. This is actually a great opportunity to, I think, develop a closer alliance with India. We have a spotty relationship with them, largely because India, for decades after its independence, followed socialist economic policies that were not liked in Washington. So India flirted with the Soviet Union a lot, and the Soviet Union had a lot of influence there. But India is a natural ally of the United States. It is a non-Muslim country for the most part. It is strategically positioned. It is a huge and rapidly growing economy, and we have close relations. We share largely a common language and a lot of cultural traits. And, of course, there's a huge Indian population in the United States. So we are natural allies, and I would like to see the administration move closer to India because it is important to us strategically down the road. But in this case, I'm worried about China's looking to show off its military. They've spent a fortune to make their military on par with the United States technologically. They've stolen a lot of our defense secrets, and they've recreated a lot of our weaponry. But they have the economy to support that, And the fact is, China is eager to show the world that its military is on par with the United States. And India, in a sharp and brief border conflict, might be the type of scenario that they'd like to show that off at. So this is a very real possibility of turning into a fighting war.
Okay, we've got to talk about this new medical development. And Frank, you want to defer to Ben first on this one, or do you want to take it?
I'll defer to Ben on this.
Okay, Ben, go.
Well, in a breakthrough that is science fiction come to fact, there is a new capability that has just been announced, and it's so revolutionary that I thought it was fake news originally, but it is real. It has been announced by Ohio State engineers. It is called tissue nanotransfection, and it is a chip that redesigns cells almost instantly upon contact and reprograms cells, reprograms their DNA. It takes but a few seconds of contact on the skin, and it programs human cells into a condition in which they repair themselves. And they have tested this extensively with animals, and animals have regrown organs, regrown limbs, recovered from substantial wounds using this technology. It is right out of Star Trek. If you remember, Bones back in the 60s had a machine that would heal people just by waving it over them. Well, this is not dissimilar to that type of technology. It is just starting human trials. As our historic listeners will know, I ran a research business for a long time, a medical research business. And the fact is that human trials will take a long time. This is not technology that will be available tomorrow, but they're entering human trials. It'll, on average, takes about a decade, but this is truly revolutionary stuff.
All right, Frank.
You know, Ben mentioned one part that's really important about how long it's going to take to actually get to actual use. There is a great deal of impetus in the medical community to revise FDA standards so that we can start bringing some medical miracles to the actual use on patients a lot quicker. One of the most distressing things, and I think almost everyone has had some family member who's been subjected to this, that you're told a beloved member of your family is critically ill, perhaps has only weeks or months to live, but there is this experimental treatment out there that could provide years of extended life, but they won't use it on the patient because the FDA says it's not yet ready to give its approval. When a patient has weeks or months to live, they don't have much to lose, do they? And yet bureaucracy keeps a lot of these medical miracles out of the hands of the public. There is no reason why that can't be changed. Indeed, several congressmen over the past couple of years have introduced legislation, some of which is still active, being considered, in which when a patient is in severely extreme condition, when they're facing imminent death, but there is an experimental treatment not yet approved by the FDA but could be used with the patient's full consent to try to save their life, that treatment should be allowed to go forward without any kind of penalty or federal bureaucracy impairing it. We need to take a look at those laws. We need to engage in a more rational way that we experiment. I think it's a good way to go, and I hope that legislation eventually works its way through Congress.
Well, this program is just really going fast today. Like us on YouTube. WBV Inside the News is our YouTube channel, and you can follow us there. Subscribe to the channel as well. Ben Brunson, you can find him at benbrunson.com and Amazon.com. He's the author of The Falstaff Enigma and Esther Sling. Frank Vernuccio, he's the editor-in-chief of the New York Analysis of Policy and Government. He's the writer and the voice of the syndicated radio feature Minute Report for America. You can find Frank at usagovpolicy.com. We'll be back with our hot button topics.
You're listening to Wayman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.